Moving next to the Vatican and the big headline tonight about Mother Teresa.
Nakedness is that loss of that beautiful human dignity of the child of God.
Mother Teresa was a nun in the church long before she was a noun in every dictionary, describing a person who is selfless and kind.
For years now, Mother Teresa has always been seen as an icon of humility and selfless dedication to humanity. But little did we know that the one who cares about others has also been suffering in silence for decades, while still maintaining a smiling up front. However, just before she passed on, she spoke up and revealed terrifying secrets that no one has heard about her before. This secret has not only shocked the world, but has sent cold shivers down the spines of everyone who hears it. But what did Mother Teresa reveal? And why is it causing so much uproar? Stay tuned to find out. Mother Teresa's life and work. Mother Teresa, born Agnes Gonsha Boyakshu on August 26, 1910, in Skopje, Macedonia, is one of the most well-known figures of the 20th century.
She was born Gonsha Agnes Boyakshu on August 26, 1910, in the Balkans, in Skopje, the present capital of North Macedonia.
Agnes was born into a devout Catholic family. From a young age, she felt a strong call to help others. At 18, she left her home to join the Sisters of Loreto, an Irish community of nuns with missions in India. She took the name Sister Teresa after Saint Therese of Lisieux, inspired by Saint Therese of Lisieux, known for her simple yet profound spirituality. In 1929, Sister Teresa arrived in India and began her work as a teacher at St. Mary's High School in Calcutta. Despite her essential role in education, she couldn't ignore the dire poverty and suffering she saw around her. The streets of Calcutta were filled with people living in extreme poverty, and this deeply troubled her compassionate heart. What's more, in September 1946, while traveling by train to the Loreto convent in Darjeeling, Sister Teresa experienced what she later described as a call within a call. She felt a divine message urging her to leave her comfortable life and live among the poorest of the poor. This unique spiritual experience led her to seek permission to leave the convent and pursue this new mission. So, after 2 years of persistence, in 1948, Sister Teresa was granted permission to leave the Loreto order and live independently. She adopted Indian citizenship, dressed in simple white saris with blue borders, and ventured into the slums of Calcutta.
Calcutta is India's third largest city and home to 15 million people, 2/3 of whom live in slums, temporary housing, or on the road.
Her mission was clear: to care for the hungry, the naked, the homeless, the crippled, the blind, the lepers, and all those people who feel unwanted, unloved, and uncared for throughout society. In 1950, she founded the Missionaries of Charity. Interestingly, this new religious congregation's purpose was to provide wholehearted and free service to the poorest of the poor. Mother Teresa's order expanded over the years to serve communities outside Calcutta, and in 1965 received permission from Pope Paul VI to expand internationally. It opened its first center in the United States in 1971 in New York City and would eventually reach around 90 countries. The sisters took vows of poverty, chastity, obedience, and a fourth vow of free service to the most vulnerable. Mother Teresa and her Missionaries of Charity quickly became known for their selfless work. They opened hospices, orphanages, and leper houses across India. These centers provided free food, medical care, and a place for the dying to pass away with dignity and love. Mother Teresa's philosophy was simple, yet unique. She used to say, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love."
Where does this love begin? In our own family, in our own home. How does it begin? By praying together.
One of her most significant projects was the establishment of the Kaligat Home for the Dying in 1952. This hospice provided care for those who had nowhere else to go. Here, the dying were treated with respect and compassion, regardless of their background or beliefs. Mother Teresa's work did not stop in India. Her message of love and compassion spread worldwide, and the missionaries of charity expanded their operations to over 130 countries. They established orphanages, clinics, and homes for the elderly and disabled in some of the most impoverished regions of the world. Mother Teresa's tireless efforts earned her international recognition and numerous awards. In 1979, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her humanitarian work.
Today is October 17th, and it was on this day in 1979 that Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her humanitarian work with the poor.
By that time, the missionaries of charity included more than 1,800 nuns and 120,000 lay workers working in more than 80 centers in India and more than 100 other centers internationally. The following year, the Indian government awarded Mother Teresa the Bharat Ratna, the country's highest civilian honor. Her acceptance speech was a reflection of her humble and selfless nature. Instead of celebrating her achievement, she used the platform to raise awareness about the plight of the poor and the importance of love and compassion in the world. She also made a remarkable decision to donate the prize money to the poor, further demonstrating her commitment to her mission. I bet you now know that Mother Teresa's life was marked by her deep devotion to God. But there is a part that you might not know about: her practice of self-denial. She believed that her work was a direct response to Jesus' call to serve the least fortunate. Her unwavering faith and dedication to the poor were rooted in her love for God. Despite her global fame, she remained humble, always prioritizing the needs of others over her own. Her commitment to self-denial extended to the way she lived her life. The nuns of the missionaries of charity lived in the same conditions as those they served. They had only the bare necessities, and Mother Teresa herself adhered to this simple lifestyle. She believed that by sharing in the poverty of the poor, she could better understand their suffering and provide more genuine help. Now, the next revelation might get you emotional for a moment. Despite her incredible work and strong faith, Mother Teresa experienced significant spiritual struggles. For many years, she felt a deep sense of loneliness and darkness, often feeling that God was distant. These periods of doubt and spiritual dryness were documented in her private letters, which were published after her death. She saw these struggles as part of sharing in the suffering of Christ, and they did not deter her from her mission. However, sadly, after suffering a heart attack in 1989, Mother Teresa attempted to resign as head of the Missionaries of Charity, but was returned to that office by a nearly unanimous vote. Hers was the only dissent. In 1997, her worsening health forced her permanent retirement, and the order chose an Indian-born nun, Sister Nirmala, to replace her.
Sister Nirmala, just 17 years old when she joined the Missionaries of Charity, a postgraduate in political science and also a trained lawyer.
Mother Teresa suffered cardiac arrest and died on September 5, 1997, in Kolkata, just days after her 87th birthday. Mother Teresa's revelation after she died. Mother Teresa died at about 9:30 p.m. after a day that saw her health worsen progressively. However, the part you've been waiting for is here. So after Mother Teresa's death, a collection of her private letters and writings was discovered in the footlocker of Jesuit Father Celeste van Exem, confessor and spiritual director, and led to the shocking revelation that she had suffered for decades from a terrifying desolation. These letters were published, shedding light on a side of her that few knew existed. These writings revealed her inner turmoil and spiritual struggles. Contrary to her public persona of unwavering faith and joy, Mother Teresa experienced long periods of doubt, emptiness, and a sense of spiritual darkness. One of the most striking aspects of Mother Teresa's inner life was her experience of what is known as the dark night of the soul. This term, coined by the 16th century mystic Saint John of the Cross, describes a period of intense spiritual desolation and feeling of abandonment by God. For Mother Teresa, this dark night lasted for nearly 50 years, almost the entire duration of her public ministry. In her letters to her spiritual advisors, she wrote about feeling an unbroken darkness and terrible pain. She expressed feelings of loneliness and an absence of God's presence. Despite her deep love for Jesus and her commitment to her mission,
Jesus said, I was hungry and you gave me to eat. Hungry not only for bread, hungry for love, for the word of God.
she often felt that God had turned away from her. But why do you think Mother Teresa felt that way? And what did her secret letter really reveal about her inner struggles? In one letter she wrote, "There is so much contradiction in my soul, such deep longing for God, repulsed, empty, no faith, no love, no zeal. Heaven means nothing to me. It looks like an empty place." In another she confessed, "I am told God loves me, and yet the reality of darkness and coldness and emptiness is so great that nothing touches my soul." However, despite her agony, she continued her work and wrote yet again, "I have come to love the darkness, for I believe now that it is a part, a very, very small part of Jesus's darkness and pain on earth." It is not out of place to say that Mother Teresa's writings reveal a woman struggling with internal contradictions. On the one hand, she was a symbol of hope and love, tirelessly working to alleviate the suffering of others. On the other hand, she endured intense personal suffering, feeling disconnected from the very source of her strength, her faith in God. But what if I told you that these contradictions are what makes her story all the more powerful? They show that even the most revered and seemingly unshakable individuals can experience deep doubt and despair. Surprisingly, Mother Teresa's struggles with faith were not just fleeting moments of doubt. They were a constant presence in her life. She questioned her own beliefs and felt unworthy of God's love. However, these feelings did not deter her from abandoning her mission. Instead, she used her suffering as a way to connect with the suffering of those she served. But do you know that Mother Teresa's life, even in this trying time, has served as valuable lessons for humanity? Mother Teresa's life shows that faith and doubt are not mutually exclusive, even in her resilience. She turned her personal pain into a source of empathy and connection with those she helped. Mother Teresa's vulnerability and honesty about her struggles make her an even more inspiring figure. It reminds us that admitting our struggles and vulnerabilities can be a source of strength. But all her deeds did not stop critics from criticizing and trying to condemn even her good deeds. But why would a woman who so passionately loved her God go through condemnation and criticism? Why was she tortured with controversial claims? Controversies about Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa is undoubtedly one of the influential women of the 20th century. However, the question now is whether she was really perfect without faults, as some people don't think so. Now this is where it gets quite interesting, as you'll get to find out. Dr. Jack Preger was a British doctor who treated the poor for free.
An octogenarian British doctor has come to call Kolkata his home. You can be forgiven for not being familiar with Dr. Jack Preger or what he has been silently doing for the City of Joy for over 35 years now.
One day she encountered Mother Teresa's works in a BBC documentary. So moved by her generosity, she started working with her but soon discovered that most of her reputation was false. So what did she reveal? According to Dr. Preger, there was no proper medical care in Mother Teresa's clinics. She testified that all the patients had shaved heads, no chairs anywhere, and stretches of beds, coupled with the fact that 40 to 60 men and women were compacted in one room. She also asserted that the injection needles were repeatedly used on many people. Additionally, painkillers were not available for people with severe pains, like the case of a young lady who went there with terrible burns. Sadly, there were no painkillers, to at least subside the pain. But Dr. Preger was able to get morphine and smuggle the morphine into this woman and helped her wither her pain. It is said that despite receiving millions and billions of dollars as donations, Mother Teresa wasn't providing medical care to the houses. There was also the case of a 15-year-old boy who had a simple kidney complaint that got worse because he didn't receive antibiotics. Consequently, he needed an operation to survive. But Mother Teresa had said he wouldn't be taken to the hospital because this wasn't a norm there, as it had never been done for anybody. Mother Teresa was said to have enough money to run a modern hospital for the poor and the patients, but she didn't do that. When people questioned her unconventional ways, she said they were social workers, and that the work was only a means to put the love of Christ into action. That's not all. Mary Johnson, a lady who formerly worked as a missionary for 20 years, left Mother Teresa's cult and wrote her reasons for leaving this cult. In her books, the lives of these nuns and the missionaries of charity were filled with manipulation, exploitation, and abuse. Mary Johnson describes a strict regimen of work and prayer. Severe punishment is meted out for breaking the rules. Many of the nuns who joined Mother Teresa's order were young and inexperienced, often from poor backgrounds and vulnerable to manipulation. Mary Johnson's account raises serious questions about the true nature of Mother Teresa's organization and the extent of her involvement in its day-to-day operations. Interestingly, Mother Teresa's philosophy on suffering has also been a point of contention. She believed that suffering brought people closer to Jesus and often emphasized enduring pain without relief. Critics have argued that this approach was inhumane and neglected the immediate needs of the patients. Mother Teresa's connections and endorsements also stirred controversy. She accepted donations and praise from questionable sources, including dictators and corrupt officials. Her relationships with influential figures have led to accusations of compromising her mission's integrity for financial or political gain. Also, a lot of volunteers who worked with Mother Teresa have reported a lack of proper training and resources. They often felt unprepared to handle the medical and emotional needs of the people in their homes. This lack of preparedness sometimes led to inadequate care and even preventable deaths. Consequently, Mother Teresa faced criticism from several high-profile figures. Christopher Hitchens, a well-known author and critic, published a book titled The Missionary Position: Mother Teresa in Theory and Practice. In it, he accused her of promoting a cult of suffering and failing to use her substantial funds to alleviate the suffering of those she cared for. Hitchens also criticized her opposition to contraception and abortion, arguing that her stance worsened the plight of the poor. But just when you thought you'd seen it all, former nuns who left the missionaries of charity have spoken out about the harsh conditions they faced. They described a life of extreme poverty, rigid discipline, and isolation from their families. These former members have criticized the organization for being more focused on maintaining a strict, religiously driven lifestyle than on effectively helping the poor. Another layer to the controversy is Mother Teresa's personal spiritual struggles. As we mentioned earlier in the video, her letters, published posthumously, revealed that she experienced deep feelings of spiritual darkness and abandonment by God for nearly 50 years. While some see this as a testament to her faith, others argue that it questions the authenticity of her public persona of unwavering devotion. But there was another side to her that many people might not know about. It's simply her sense of humor and ability to find joy, even amidst her serious mission.
I want to be a missionary, to go out and give the life of Christ to the people in the missionary countries.
She was a small, tiny, bent woman, but she had a commanding presence.
Would you believe it if I told you that despite the intense focus on her mission, Mother Teresa was known to have a joyful spirit and a sense of humor that uplifted those around her? Her laughter and smiles were not just occasional. They were a part of her daily life, even in the most challenging circumstances. One of the most famous stories that showcased Mother Teresa's humor involves a dream she had about St. Peter and the gates of paradise. In this dream, she found herself standing before the gates of heaven, trying to get in. St. Peter, the gatekeeper, was there, and the conversation that followed was both humorous and insightful. Mother Teresa recounted this dream and shared it with the world. She shared the dream, and in her words, "I dreamt I was at the gates of heaven, and St. Peter said, 'Go back to earth. There are no slums up here.'" So, Mother Teresa always found ways to bring light-hearted moments to her interactions. She believed that joy was an essential part of service, and that a smile could bridge the gap between different worlds. Her ability to laugh and make others laugh showed her strength and resilience. For example, during one of her many interviews, a journalist asked her how she managed to keep going day after day in such tough conditions. She replied with a smile and said, "She's not called to be successful, but called to be faithful." This line was basically a summary of her philosophy of life and work. Mother Teresa's sense of humor even extended to more serious settings, such as courtrooms. There is a well-known story of her appearing in court over a legal issue involving the missionaries of charity. Despite the serious nature of the proceedings, she managed to lighten the mood with her charm and wit. How did she do this? During the trial, the opposing lawyer tried to corner her with a tricky question, expecting a detailed legal response. Mother Teresa, with her characteristic humility and humor, replied, "I trust in God's judgment more than man's." Her response not only diffused the tension, but also won the admiration of everyone present, including the judge. It was a clear example of how her faith and humor went hand in hand, even in challenging situations. Mother Teresa's ability to find humor in serious situations was not just for show. It had an impact on those she worked with and helped.
Mother Teresa was the voice of the less fortunate, and she still speaks through volunteers like him and others.
Mother Teresa lives on in all of us. She took the poorest of the poor and treated them with dignity. And that's what we do here. We treat everyone with dignity.
Her laughter and lightheartedness provided a sense of relief and hope to many who were suffering. She believed that joy was a powerful tool in healing and uplifting the human spirit. In her homes for the dying, she would often share jokes and funny stories with the patients, volunteers, and staff. They reminded everyone that amidst the hardships, there was still room for happiness and human connection. Many volunteers who worked with Mother Teresa have also shared personal stories that highlight her playful side. One such story involves a young volunteer who was feeling overwhelmed by the work. Noticing this, Mother Teresa approached her with a smile and said, "Do you know why we smile? Because a smile is the beginning of love." This simple yet unique statement had a transformative effect on the volunteer. Canonization and her lasting legacy. Shortly after Mother Teresa died, calls for her canonization began. The process of becoming a saint in the Catholic Church is rigorous and involves several steps, including the recognition of miracles attributed to the person's intercession. For Mother Teresa, the first miracle recognized by the Vatican was the healing of an Indian woman named Monica Besra from a tumor in her abdomen after praying to Mother Teresa.
A woman called Besra claims she was cured of a tumor after a miracle by Mother Teresa. Her claim was verified by the Vatican, and that led to Mother Teresa's beatification.
The second miracle involved the healing of a Brazilian man with multiple brain abscesses, again attributed to prayers to Mother Teresa. So, on December 17, 2015, Pope Francis approved the second miracle, paving the way for her canonization. On September 4, 2016, Mother Teresa was officially declared a saint in a ceremony held at the Vatican, attended by thousands, including many from Kolkata.
Tens of thousands of pilgrims packed St. Peter's Square at the Vatican today as Mother Teresa of Calcutta was declared a saint of the Roman Catholic Church by Pope Francis.
St. Teresa of Kolkata, as she is now known, left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire millions. Her life and work remind us of the power of love, compassion, and selfless service. The missionaries of charity still operate worldwide, continuing the mission she started decades ago. Mother Teresa believed that true peace could only be achieved through love and compassion, so she encouraged individuals to work together for the common good. Her example has continued to inspire countless individuals to volunteer their time and resources to help those in need, thereby creating a ripple effect of kindness and generosity that transcends beyond culture. Her life serves as a reminder that even the tiniest act of kindness can make a significant difference in the lives of others. Her legacy also challenges us to look beyond ourselves and reach out to those vulnerable and in need in our societies. She said doing this will not only make the world a better place, but will even give us fulfillment as humans. Through her life, we learn the importance of giving without expecting anything in return, and that even the simplest acts of love can bring profound change to the world. Her legacy continues to inspire us to serve humanity with humility and empathy. Ultimately, her example encourages us to be humble and caring, to see the value in every person, and to make the world better with simple acts of kindness and love. Her story inspires us to find joy in helping others. Thanks for watching. Share with us in the comments section what you think about Mother Teresa's life and secrets. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.